If you have a question for our guest tonight here on OpenLine surrounding the LGBT community, discrimination that's happening in our schools, and resources that are available, go ahead and give us a call. We have about 10 more minutes tonight to take those calls, and the phone lines are open. 615-737+ is the number right there on the bottom of the screen. Jace Wilder from the Tennessee Equality Project is joining us once again. Jace, I want to go through those 5 laws that passed in this last legislative session that really surrounded the LGBT community.
Right, so most of them targeted specifically trans individuals, and most of them were education-based. So one of them being that you have to give 30 days notice about any material that would include LGBT content. So again, if you were just mentioning Alan Turing and then you also wanted to mention that he was a gay individual, then you would have to give notice at that point or leave out a very important part of history. The other bill, including a reverse bathroom bill, kind of what we discussed tonight so far, where a student can require accommodation in which they can remove a trans student from a bathroom and require them to use a different one, or also faculty as well for our LGBT faculty. Another bill would also include our trans athlete bill that it's across the nation that prevents transgender students from participating on the team that aligns with the gender that they actually identify with, not the sex that they were assigned at birth. The other education-based bill non-education-based bill was actually about HRT, or hormone replacement therapy. It is a first step to kind of blocking trans individuals from getting hormone replacement therapy, which would be estrogen or testosterone, to do that medical transition so that they can live their lives as male, female, or however they identify. And it prevents it from before puberty starts, which was already kind of medical practice, but is kind of a first step to discrimination. And the last one was a bathroom signage bill, which required businesses to basically, if they had a policy that said that they were okay with trans individuals using the restroom of their preference, that they had to put up basically a warning sign that said that they were allowing that. And a lot of these laws are currently in litigation as well.
Yeah, I was going to point that out as well. A lot is still in limbo here. Even though the law has been passed by the state, there have been lawsuits filed that kind of has everything in a holding pattern. And federal law often says something completely different than Tennessee law.
Right, which causes all sorts of issues, especially when we have, Title IX providing that protection for trans athletes, but then our state says otherwise. And what it does is, honestly, at the end of the day, it brings litigation that lasts for years, which also wastes state tax dollars. So our taxpayer money is going to trying to defend these laws in court, where inevitably they may end up losing out to federal statutes that have already existed and that the state was warned about.
Just a couple of minutes ago, we talked about resources that are available in schools for the LGBTQ community and also staff, and the resources that are also needed that aren't there. You mentioned a program that you're heavily involved in, and that's the Trans One-on-One programming. What is that? What do you do?
Yeah, so the Trans One-on-One programming, all we do is actually just go over the very basics. It's kind of like what we're talking about earlier, how there's a lot of individuals that, are nervous about asking the wrong questions, that aren't informed about what even maybe the definition of transgender actually is. And so what we do is just go over that, and it can also be kind of catered to what the business organization needs. So for example, if I'm speaking with a university, I'm going to talk about the policies as well that may help their students, some information that may help teachers to be able to engage with students, so on and so forth. So basically, it just allows for an equal training for businesses and organizations about trans individuals.
Are you finding that more and more organizations are reaching out lately for this?
I am very lucky to say yes, and it's been fantastic to see. A lot of people, again, they have those questions, but they just have nowhere to ask, and they don't know who to ask. So we're very lucky to see that people are wanting this, and we are happy to deliver.
We've talked a lot about schools, but let's talk about the workplace a little bit. What do you feel like are the main obstacles in the workplace when it comes to equality?
Right. So even though we can say under Title VII that, there has been rulings that say that, LGBT individuals should be protected under this and that there's been statements by the court, there's still no overwhelming federal law or state laws, specifically in Tennessee, that actually do protect from this. So a lot of LGBT individuals still face workplace discrimination. It's a very high rate in Tennessee, unfortunately, that we see, especially transgender individuals are unemployed because they aren't seen as suited for employment, and not because they lack skill, but because of just the stereotypes around us and about documentation. And that's further complicated by laws that exist that a lot of people aren't aware of, such as the birth certificate laws that we have. We're the only state that still says you cannot change the sex on your birth certificate. It's never been a problem in another state. But we're still the only state that stands on that, and that causes a lot of issues with documentations, can out people if they are living fully as male or female, even if they don't want to be. So there's a lot of different levels of issues that come into place, but unfortunately we see a lot of unemployment and harassment within the workforce.
I did not know about that law. And you said Tennessee is the only state that has that law?
Currently, yes. Ohio brought it back a couple years back, and then they ended up not being able to keep it up. So
wow, interesting. Again, that's called the Trans One-on-One Programming, right? Is what you're in charge of. All right. How can people reach out to the Tennessee Equality Project? What's the best way to do that?
Right. So you can either visit our website, you can go to tnep.org, and you can go into our contact us page, or you can contact us at info@tnep.org. You can send inquiries there about the Trans One-on-One programming, or if you just have questions from tonight that weren't answered or that you didn't want to ask on the line, you can go there as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of people may not have wanted to call in, and that's fair. What do you just hope the general public would take away from this conversation? If you push the legislation aside and the nitty-gritty of that, what do you hope people take away?
I think that I really want people to just understand that we should want to make our school environments and all our environments, workplace environments as well, as welcoming as possible. We all want students to succeed because they are our future, and we should not let politics that weren't politics yesterday but are politics today get in the way of that. And that also we shouldn't want to or ever try and silence anyone's identity, because just as though we teach about certain identities in school on a fair and equal level, we shouldn't decrease the volume of one just because we don't fully understand it all the time. So at the end of the day, we should just be kind to the person next to you. And if that person happens to be transgender, then so be it. Respect their identity, ask questions respectfully, and just acknowledge that they're also a human being. I've mentioned a couple times that you are a Belmont student, and I am in awe because when I was even a college student, I did not speak as eloquently as you do about anything. What are your plans? What motivates you to be so involved in this, and where do you hope to take it? I hope that, I kind of make this joke. I hope one day I don't have a job because I don't want this to have to be a job, but I do love to help protect people from this. I am very interested in health policy, stuff like that. So right now I'm pursuing my, about to go into my master's for public health and then go into my JD, hopefully for civil rights law and health law. So that's my main focus going forward, and hopefully we'll need less of this. Yeah, but needed.
Well, thank you for sharing your expertise and your wisdom with us and your life experience. We appreciate it tonight.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful, and I am here for if anyone needs anything.
Hey, we will see you again. I'm quite certain of it. So thanks, Jace. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too.
When we come back, we will wrap it up and talk about what we will be showing you the rest of the night right here on News Channel 5 Plus. Stay with us.